Okay, boys and girls, it's me, Butch, Terry David Solar Claude. Google me, Butch himself. I'm 80 years old. I was born in 1944 in October. And I'm just making a video to make a video, and because I have such a huge ego and I'm so vain and all that kind of crap. And to try and encourage all you young LGBTQ people, it's going to be okay. If you're young, like young, we're talking like twinks. Butch likes twinks. That's why I call myself queer. And it causes me a lot of trouble with older gay men because they think I'm like, you know what I'm talking about. They think that's really weird. Most gay men like their own age. And but a large percentage of them, about 20%, are like me, and they like younger or twinks. And I like twinks. We get along great. And they can keep up to me and I keep up to them usually. It's getting harder because now I'm 80 and I've been diagnosed with heart failure, so I'm living on borrowed time and I'm just going to keep making videos while I can, and one day I'll go kerplunk or something. I've applied for medically assisted death, but I haven't set a date. My goal at the moment is just to live to 81, and sometimes in the morning I think, oh, kill me now, I hurt so much. I'm in pain management. I take 6 T3s a day. But I wanted to talk about being the boss. So like many queer people, LGBTQ people, when you're young, you know you're different. And at an early age, quite often in early school, I don't know what it's like now because I went to school like 70 years ago, a long time ago, in the olden days. And things were hugely different before digital. But the thing is, quite often you're the teacher's pet, and quite often you're the smart kid, and you're going to be the future leaders, because right now you're learning to live independently because you're just not quite fitting in. Some of you will, the ones that, there's a certain segment of gay men that they just fit in anywhere, and they will probably be the more effeminate gay men, and they just seem to be able to associate with others really quickly because they, at a very early age, they just hang out with the girls. They say, yeah, screw the guys, and they just start hanging out with the girls. And the girls say, Johnny, he's fun. Don't worry about Johnny, he's not, well, I don't know what they say, but you get the drift, and I know that's what happens. So where were I? So at a very early age, like when I was in grade 8, I went to Belcaire Memorial School in the beach strip in Hamilton, Ontario. It's a park now, and it had a lot of students, and it was overflowing with the baby boomers. So I was such a smart kid that they didn't have enough room for the grade 8 kids. So the dumbest of the grade 8 kids, about 10 of them, they were like the dumbest of the effing dumb. And the teachers knew who the dumb kids were, or the troublemakers, all of that. So they put them in my grade 7 class. And for some reason, one of the grade 8 guys I was pretty much one of the biggest guys in the school, but I was a nerd, the teacher's pet, skinny as a beanpole. I didn't, my dad and I were, I didn't get any encouragement about looking after myself. If my dad did, it was not in a very encouraging way. It's not his fault. Let's not get into that. But anyhow, one time in the schoolyard, this bigger kid, he decided to start pushing me around, and I don't remember why or for what reason he was pushing me around. But I just went berserk on him. Think of the raging cat, claws out, all 4 feet claws, coming at him, him pushing me back down, coming right back at him, kicking, punching, and eventually it was broken up. But after that, I got a lot of respect from all the other boys. It was like, stay away from him, he's crazy. So I didn't have any problems in public school anymore. And in high school, my high school was so huge. We had 2,000 students that nobody really noticed me, and high school was not a problem, gay-wise. But this was about leadership. And, because I was a teacher's pet, I was always selected for things. But I was in Sea Scouts, and one year a lot of the older scouts left because they turned 18 and they needed new patrol leaders, and the leaders that look after us came over one night and said, "You're a new patrol leader, pick out 6 guys," and we're reorganizing the troop. Pick out, because they lost like about 6 older guys and who were all patrol leaders. So all of the old patrol leaders were like gone, and the new baby boomer, which I was the head of pretty much, we were moving in, and I was made a patrol leader, and so I learned very early on to start taking charge, and I just loved being the boss because I'm the boss. Don't tell me what to do. I'm giving the orders around here. I wasn't that way. I was a terrific patrol leader, and eventually I was made troop leader. So that began my experience of coming out of my shyness and my introverted way to learning how to take charge. And then I wanted to go to university to study physics or electronics. I wanted to be an electronics engineer. And because I was so smart all through high school, I didn't do any homework. And in grade 13, which you needed to get into university in those days, I didn't quite pass math, so I would have had to repeat a year. Technically, I graduated already, but in those days you had to do an extra year to go to university. And I had already applied to the Navy, and they said, oh yeah, they did all kinds of tests on me. I even had to go away for a long weekend, and they tested me and a whole bunch of other guys. And said, "You're our boy, we love you. All you gotta do is pass." And I didn't, so I didn't want to do another year. And my mom had noticed that there was another plan the Navy had where they just needed officers anyway, and all you needed was high school. And I already had that. It's just I didn't have grade 13. So I applied for that too, and when I flunked math, the Navy said, "Oh, you're already smart. You don't need it. You don't need a university. We'll just send you to officer school and teach you how to be an officer." So right away at age 18, about to be 19, I went to officer school and learned how to take charge, and it's really easy. All you gotta do is act like you're in charge, sound like you're in charge, and talk loud in an authoritative way. Even if you're pooping your drawers, just act it out, excuse me. My throat is dry. So that's all there is to it. And then, you don't have to fit in. You're the boss. How good could it be? And since you're already a loner, a Sigma male or female, this sort of works okay for you anyway. Because you don't want to really be friends with the people with whom you are in charge. I can tell you that you say, well, why not? Well, because you can't let your emotions get involved when you're in charge. You just can't. If you have to decide who's going to live and die, and somebody's going to die here, your emotions are going to really be difficult. Your decision could be like, that's a chief petty officer and that's a naval seaman. We need our chief. Sorry, guy, you're out. And that's it. And if you were in love with a sailor and not the chief petty officer, which is more like for me because I was like twinks, boy, that would be a really hard decision. Oh, I haven't mentioned to you yet. Have I got to the Navy yet? So I was in the Navy, and they took me because they thought I was a really smart boy. And they turned me into what in the American Navy would be an ensign, an acting sub-lieutenant. I got that far by getting through officer school, and you also had to be able to pass an exam of navigating with the stars. So I did that, and I became an ensign or an acting sub-lieutenant. And then I went to sea for about a year where I had to get practical navigation and seagoing experience of actually being an officer. I got to drive the ship because when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you can't hit anything. They let you drive the ship. It's fun. You're up there driving the ship all by yourself while there's sailors helping you, but you're driving. Well, you don't do that. You got people. You're an officer. You got people. Your job is to organize the people. They know. They're supposed to know what they're doing. Your job is to know what they know and how to organize them and win. You're the opposite. Where am I going with all this? I don't know. Smoked too much pot, I guess. So has this video gotten long enough? It's about being in charge, and I learned to not worry too much about, being the loner and all that. My boyfriend died 31 years ago, and now I am lonely because, I don't have a boyfriend and I don't go out and all that, so I am lonely, and I have really serious health problems, and I know I'm living on borrowed time. My object right now is to live till next October. My heart problems, they told me yesterday, are pretty good, and if I want to, with medication, they think they can keep me alive. So of course, do I want to be alive? And I have applied for medically assisted death, so we'll just have to see how much I'm hurting next October, or maybe I'll just drop dead before then. So this video's gotten long enough, and I've forgotten the whole point of it. It was sort of about that it's just not that hard to be the boss if you have some brains, you have some organizational skills, and you don't really fit in with the crowd anyway, and you want them to do what you say, when you tell them to do it, how you tell them to do it, like that. It's like when you see the soldiers on the parade square, and they all know the drill, and when the sergeant major or whoever's in charge shouts out, "Present arms," like you'll notice there'll be a pause between the two words. So everybody has heard that word, present, and they take their rifle and they go, "Up, arms." So you're the organizer, and I don't know where I'm going with all this anymore. So thanks for being here. Look after yourself. Watch your nutrition. If you want to gain muscle, you have to do the exercises slowly, because you're trying to stress your muscles, and go a few, these are 15 pounders, and you wouldn't want to do this right now. I'm used to these suckers. So if you're trying to build muscle, you want to do it slower. And if it's hard on your wrists this way, turn the dumbbells this way, let them hang. That might be easier on your wrists, but this is like for your biceps. But the point is, when it gets to a point where you're feeling the stress, do a few extra. But the exercise alone is not going to build your muscle. You're going to have the right diet. And if you got a whole lot of fat, you're not going to see the muscle underneath. But the best diet is red meat. Sorry about that. It is. So it's red meat. That's because, red meat is high in protein and creatine. Creatine helps build muscle. So white meat, like chicken, which I like, it will, it'll be high in protein, but I don't know how much creatine will be in it. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just trying to tell you, got to watch if you want to watch your weight, get rid of the fat. Anything with fat in it. Sugar's not bad. Sugar either is used like right away, peed out, or has to be turned into fat. And if your body's too busy digesting what's in your stomach, it doesn't have, unless you're really young, a lot of time, your liver and all that, to turn that sugar into fat. You'll just send it to your kidneys, and if you have too much sugar, then you're going to get diabetic, and you get the drift. So there may be a whole lot of reasons why you're diabetic, but the thing is, that's why they have to watch their sugar, because their body's going to be diverting it to, you'll have kidney failure. But the fat, if you eat too much fat, you have a big breakfast full of bacon and eggs and toast and butter and peanut butter, which has quite a bit of fats in it. It's good for you. Peanut butter is really good for you. I'm not dissing peanut butter because it's peanuts. And then you do the same thing at lunch and same thing again, and your body just doesn't have time to digest all the fat, and it doesn't have enough time to just send it down the poop chute. It says, well, because it always saves stuff. It'll say, well, I'll just put a bit here and a bit there, and it starts building up. But see, now I'm going on and on. This video's still going on and on and on, because I'm like a dripping tap old guy. But if you want to build muscle, you've got to watch the protein, and if you want to, you know, get like those perfect abs like people have, you're going to have to do some dieting too. A lot of those guys are not as beautiful as it is. They're dangerously close to having not enough body fat, but they really look awesome. Okay, Butch is going to shut up. I'm going to come around, and I know you have a button back here somewhere. I got to find it. It's right there. It is. Okay, bye for Butch.